Let's calculate the profit margin and profitability for your e-commerce store and your products. This is an incredibly important video that every e-commerce store owner needs to watch, so let's get into it. Hey guys, Sam Baldwin here from Ecommerce.com, and today we're getting into an incredibly important topic that every e-commerce store owner needs to be on top of. It's the lifeblood of your store. Too many e-commerce store owners have no idea about the financials for their store. Yes, it can get complicated, so let's keep it simple. I'm going to show you the 2 simple calculations you need, and I'm even providing the free template so you can get it all done really easily. Just fill in your information and boom, it's done. Man, I wish I had this when I was starting. You'll find a link in the description to the page that has all the info there, including the template, so go check that out and make it happen. Okay, so first, why do we even care about the profit? Because this tells you the health of your store. It's the real money in your bank account at the end of the month. It shows that you're actually delivering value for people in the world. Fake gurus love showing off revenue and sales. They don't tell you the profit because 1, they actually don't know, and 2, they do know, but it doesn't sound as impressive as just revenue numbers. You can sell $100,000 worth of products, but if you spent $1 million on ads, well then you've made a loss, but that doesn't sound as cool. You're just burning cash. But hey, that doesn't sound as good. It doesn't sell their courses, so they're not gonna tell you the actual profit. Okay, rant over. Let's just get into my computer and let's calculate our profitability. Let's go.
Hey guys, Sam here from Ecommerce.com. We're now in my computer and I'm going to show you how to calculate the profit for your e-commerce store. So you should have access to this template. If you go to my website, you might need to put in your email, and the reason is I just want to give this to people that are really serious about their e-commerce stores. So put in your email, you'll get access to this template, and then you can start calculating the profit for your e-commerce store. Now I've tried to make it super easy for you guys here so you can follow along as I talk through right now and calculate this for a hypothetical store. Okay, so you have access to this. It's this template. It's called a profit and loss statement. Okay, now in my past life, I used to be an accountant, and I also really love getting into the numbers because I really believe that with every business, especially e-commerce, the numbers are what really make a business. Yes, branding is so important, and you won't have your business without focusing on a good product and finding a target market. But then at the end of the day, if you're making a loss on all your advertising, all your products, then really your business is just not going to last very long at all. Okay, so that's what, this side of things is really important, and very few e-commerce store owners actually care about this or know about this. And the reason is because they just focus on the traffic side, the product side, and hope for the best. But if you get this sorted, you're going to see today, where some opportunities are for your own store, as well as know exactly how much you should be spending on your ads to make sure it's profitable. And that's just incredibly powerful, because if you know how much to spend on your ads, you can spend more than your competition and get all that traffic that they might be bidding on at the same time. And you'll know, yes, it's worth it for me because I'm getting a return on this ad spend. Okay guys, so firstly, what I want you to do is open up this template that you'll have, link in the description, go to the website, and then get this template here. What we're gonna do is I like to put in the time period here. So put in that's just for future reference, so that when you look back on this, you can tell, okay, I did this for this period and this is the data there. So say if we do it for the first 6 months of 2020, so it would be first 2020 until actually I'm gonna do it in American style. Awesome. So that'll be until 1st of January to June. What we're going to do first here is we're going to go for those dates and look at our Shopify dashboard or your WooCommerce dashboard or whatever dashboard you're using for your e-commerce store, and just pull in all the sales that you've made. So say if I put in, I put in $100,000 just as an example, but you want to put in the total sales right there from the dashboard. The next thing we're going to do is go down here, and this is called the cost of goods sold. Okay, so we did our revenue. Now we're basically working out all the stuff that we had to pay for. Cost of goods sold. What this means, this is the cost that you paid to the suppliers for your products. Cost of goods sold, that may be a new term you've never heard before. It just means how much did you pay suppliers, how much did you actually pay for these products. And what you want to do here is I like to break it down by product so I can see that there, but make sure that you put in how much you actually paid. So calculate for those dates, how much you paid to your suppliers. But here's the thing, sometimes depending on what type of store you're running, if it isn't a dropshipping store, you might have paid $100,000 in stock, but that lasts you for 12 months. Well, what you want to do here is work out from your sales how much stock did you actually sell, and then work out the cost of your stock and make sure that this matches this. So not the same amount, but this, if this is for 100 products and this is for 100 products, then make sure that what you paid for 100 products is the same as this is attributed to the sales that you made for those 100 products. Sorry, I had a bit of a brain fart trying to explain that properly. So basically, just like I put here, meaning make sure that the cost of goods sold here matches up with the sales above. Meaning if you sold 200 products, include the cost of goods sold for those 200 products. That's the important thing here, because what we're trying to work out here is our gross profit. So gross profit is the profit after you sell your products, but before all your other expenses. This is very important and something that a lot of people don't understand. You have two types of profit, gross profit and net profit. Gross profit is after your product costs, but before all your other costs. What other costs? Well, for your store, it might be software. Maybe you have warehouse costs if you have a warehouse, maybe marketing spend, all that sort of stuff. We really want to see our gross profit because that gives a good indication of kind of the health of our margins. And because a lot of the time, you can reduce the costs of your product. That's a great opportunity. And you'll be able to see, okay, 50%, like here, 50% total cost of all the products that I've sold. And I've made $100,000 in sales. So my gross profit is $50,000. 100 minus 50 equals 50,000. And so the gross profit is going to be 50%. So that's a formula that's there for you. It just goes gross profit divided by total sales. It's a very common gross profit. That's the gross profit margin formula. And then what you can do there is just track that over time. So maybe you get a better deal with your supplier and your actual cost of goods sold decreases because you've got more volume. Well, your gross profit margin is then going to increase because you're making more profit on the front end from those products before your other expenses. So that's the first thing you need to do. So once you get that sorted, that's the first thing there. The next thing you want to do is work out your expenses. So I've broken it up into two types of expenses here because I think this is very, very important, especially for e-commerce stores. The first thing here is your fixed expenses. These are expenses that you have to pay every single month. Okay, so even if you don't sell any products, you still have to pay for your Shopify membership, your Shopify, subscription. You have to pay for all the apps on your store. Maybe you've got a home office, you have to pay for that. All the rent and all this sort of stuff like that. That's what you include under fixed expenses. Just think about this: if you didn't sell any products, you would still be liable. You would still have to pay these expenses. Okay, and the reason we split this up between fixed and variable is because fixed expenses, they actually are much more risky. Even though generally, especially when you're selling more and more products, your variable expenses, these are expenses that increase when you sell more products. These are going to be much bigger. Even right now, I've got shipping in there, payment processor fees, total variable expenses is $5,500. That's much more than fixed. But the thing is, you only have to pay these if people actually buy your products. Like you're not going to pay for your Stripe fees or anything like that, or PayPal fees if no one buys, because PayPal isn't going to charge you for that for transactions that never actually existed. Like you have to actually have transactions before they charge you. And this is something that's really, really important for your business, especially in e-commerce, but your business overall, is that fixed expenses are incredibly risky. And what this, like, even if you don't make any sales, so say if COVID-19 happens again and suddenly it affects your niche in particular, it's been great for e-commerce, honestly, it's been insane. But say, if something else comes in, maybe some new law that says, okay, no more e-commerce businesses. Well, unless you try and cancel these apps and all these things, you still have to pay for it. So especially if you have a lease for some sort of warehouse, you still have to pay for that lease, which is, that's where's that going to come from if you can't sell your products? So this helps you to see an opportunity here and go, okay, these are fixed expenses and they are risky. They have to pay them even if I'm not making sales. That's just something you want to make sure that those fixed expenses make sense for you and your business. The next thing here, so you're going to put them in here. So basically go through, I would look at your bank statement on a monthly basis in particular and go through all the fixed expenses and put them in here. Okay, and what I've done here is I've made it so you can actually put in the cost per month, then the number of months that are that you paid for them, and use this period. It should be all within this period, and then it works out the total cost. It then calculates the total fixed expenses by using this formula called sum. You'll see this in here. That basic sum means add up all those ones there. So this is the total fixed expenses. You might have other fixed expenses. Maybe there's other memberships you're paying for. Maybe there's some sort of online course you're paying for. You would even put that there, even if it's not an ongoing thing. If you incurred that cost, if you paid for that expense during the period, then put it in there, because that's really important to make sure you calculate that. The next thing here is the variable expenses. So you want to put in here basically how all the expenses that you have to pay, even if when you sell your product. So that shipping expenses, you only pay shipping when you actually sell a product and you ship that product basically. So payment process fees are in there. You can also put in especially if you're looking at over the period, marketing expenses are hard because I would put them as fixed because you're looking retrospectively and you're going, okay, in this period I incurred these expenses. They're not technically a fixed expense with pay-per-click marketing. It kind of actually is if you're doing some sort of television advertisement, stuff like that, but with pay-per-click, well, honestly, actually, it is a fixed expense actually when I think about it, because if you have it ramped up and you're in a good spot with your marketing, your Google ads and your Facebook ads campaigns, that you're going to make sales basically. But in the beginning, you might not make sales, and you still have to pay Google and Bing and Facebook and Amazon. They're still going to charge you even if you don't make sales. So technically, it is a fixed expense. But what you do is you put that in there, and you put it in there for the period. What I would do is try and attribute that spend for that period and when you actually sold those products, okay? And once you put that in there, it's going to calculate, the total fixed expenses. But for the variable expenses, the same thing. And then this calculates the total expenses. I'm actually going to make this to double line. That makes sense. So that gets your total expenses by adding up the two expenses. And then here I've got a summary for you guys. And once you put in that information there, you're going to get some really, really awesome data. I'm actually going to put this here so you know that you need to put this in yourself. But it's then going to grab the sales from the very top. So you've already put this in here. And then it's going to get your cost of goods sold from what we already did over here in cost of goods sold. So I'm going to get calculate your gross profit. It already calculated it here, but I like to have it here in the summary too, because then you could just see it all in one place. So here's your gross profit, total expenses, which is from here. And then it calculates your net profit. So over this period, how much actual profit you put in your pocket, okay? And that's really what's going to be in your bank account at the end of this period. Of course, you're going to go and invest more in the next period, and there's you may have to buy new stock, but really that's the profit. That's what you've made yourself, which is a really, really awesome thing. So that's what we want to really maximize. And here we've got the actual net profit margin. And that's really important because, if your net profit margin is 10%, that's really low for an e-commerce store. Maybe if you're drop shipping and you'll say drop shipping on eBay, it's all about arbitrage, then, that's when you're going to have a really low profit margin. But for a good brand store, when you're delivering value, in all the dozens of stores I've worked with, generally the lowest is 20%. But it can be all the way up to 60% net profit margin. And that's because these people are able, and in my store as well, we're able to charge much more because we have all these reviews. We've got targeted copy that's really speaking to our audiences. We've got an email list. We've put a lot of effort into this stuff. And so that's where we can really maximize that profit margin. And hopefully this helps you to see the value in building a brand store and really putting time into increasing your conversion rates, increasing that social proof on your website, because it makes everything else easier. Like when you do the numbers like we're doing right now, you'll see this go up because you'll need to you'll spend less on your ads, and you'll get more sales because you have a high conversion rate, more trust. You can also increase your pricing, which means higher, same number of orders, but more sales, more actual volume of money from sales. The next thing you want to do down here is put in your total number of orders. So just like you got your sales from your e-commerce dashboard, go and get the total orders in this period, and then it's going to calculate for you the average order value, which is really, really, really useful here, because then we also use that profit margin to work out the actual average profit per order. So this basically goes and grabs, gets all your net profit and then spreads it over your total orders and works out your average profit per order. And then it tells you your break-even ROAS. So this is going to be really useful in all your ad accounts, in analytics, and looking at how your marketing is performing, because you can see like what sort of return on ad spend you need to be profitable. And keep this in mind. If you've put in your marketing spend up here, your ad spend, that's then going to affect this. So it's kind of what you want to do is, what I would do here is I would add back in my marketing spend. So before my marketing spend, it works out your break even, your basically average profit per order, and then go into your Google Ads account and you can create a custom column. And I believe I've got a video on this, so check the description as well, and I'll put the video to adding in these custom columns into your Google Ads account. But it actually allows you to see the actual profit generated and profit per order in your Google Ads account, and it'll dynamically pull in the ad spend for your account on a campaign basis, on a keyword basis, on an ad basis, for all parts of your campaigns, which is really, really helpful. Okay, cool. So the next thing here, and this is something I just pulled in, and this is from a template that I have for a lot of my clients and my store that we use, and it's basically, it pulls in the target ROAS, and it tells you, okay, that's the break even ROAS. So if you just wanted to break even, not make any profit, but just, you'll be able to push the ad spend to the limit and just scale that up. And you don't need to rely on the store for profits to pay yourself. You can set it as that. Basically, that's what you're aiming for. But especially after you've started the store and you've got it going, you want to make a profit, guys. Like you actually don't want to just like sit on break even, because you're not making any money. You're putting in all this time in. You're setting up these systems. So what you want to do here is this actually works out, okay, if we want to keep 10% of the profit, let's set it to this. So that's just like a tiny bit of profit, not a lot. If we want to do 25% or 33%, and you can change these formulas, here it is, and then you can play with this if you want to keep a lot more of the profit. But honestly, a lot of, like with my store and with a lot of my clients, we really just want to scale it up. Because once it's scaled up, you're building up the brand, and then you start getting organic rankings from all the links you're building, and it's worth it to push hard at the start, and then you can ease back later, and then maximize the profit by having a higher target ROAS that you're trying to aim for in the account. Anyway, so that'll tell you there, and you can use that, ROAS for Google Ads. So if you're setting your target ROAS bidding strategy in your campaign settings, you can use that yourself. It really relies on having good information here, making sure you add in the right expenses, variable expenses here. If you have employees, make sure you add them in. If you have a VA, don't forget to add that in, how much it costs for that period. So if it's 6 months here, how much did you pay them in salary for 6 months? So that's really something really important to add in as well. Okay, guys, that was quite a long walkthrough, but I really hope that helped you guys set up and figure out the profitability for your e-commerce store.
Okay, that's how you do the fundamental profitability calculations for your e-commerce store. If you have any questions at all about what we've gone through, please leave a comment below and I'll do my best to answer you as soon as I can. If this video was helpful, please give it a thumbs up. That tells YouTube Sam is making good stuff out there for e-commerce store owners. Check out the rest of the videos on my channel. I make a lot of videos just like this one on e-commerce marketing, building your store, finding products, all the finances and all that stuff that you really need to learn. So check it out and consider subscribing to get regular updates when I release new videos almost every day. Thanks again, guys, for watching. I really appreciate the support, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.